Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Topoco Lodge. Next weekend, the 27th and 28th, big river release at Cheoah Dam. That means kayaks, whitewater, all ripping right by the lodge, and the outdoor dining at the Topoco Tavern. You hear me talk about the river release all the time. Best time in the world to visit Topoco Lodge, even if you're just going up for a meal at the Topoco Tavern. Check it out. River release next weekend, 27th and 28th. All right. Let's quickly go to our recruiting list. And Ryan, this could be a short segment for you, buddy, because we are way over. There you see the 24/7 sports rankings. And, of course, Ryan, as I mentioned earlier, here's your free plug. GoVols 24/7 does a great job keeping up recruiting. That's what Mr. Callahan does. You see Tennessee at the bottom there. 6 commits, no 5 stars, 3 4 stars. Okay, it's April. We're not going to be done with this recruiting class. You'll have some of it in December, but you're going to be done with it in February. It's a long way still. That seems like that seems like a lot of ground to make up. Did you expect a slow start? Is there anything up?
Everything's honestly about what you would expect. Look on that list, the top 6 teams that actually have more commitments than Tennessee right now. Mississippi State would maybe be the one exception, but Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, what do they all have in common? They can rely on in-state talent for early commitments a lot of times. Those are teams that all do a lot of recruiting close to home. In Auburn's case, maybe in the Atlanta area and in their home state, but a lot of those schools are able to get early commitments from guys who are just down the road from their campus because they have tons of in-state talent to recruit from. So in Tennessee's case, it's a good in-state class, but they don't have a ton of in-state commitments right now. They need to get started on that. I think you're expecting some guys to maybe have some movement there this summer. A lot of guys who make decisions in the late spring and summer months now, and that's where things are headed in recruiting. So I think Tennessee's about on pace for what you would expect, and you'll see probably quite a bit of activity over the next 2 to 3 months that will change that quite a bit. So I'd say no reason to worry, and actually I think they're in good shape with a lot of targets to where you'll see them probably closer to the top 15 range here in the next 2 or 3 months.
All right, very good. Anybody else with a quick question for Ryan on the recruiting front, or do we leave him be after that?
No, just the in-state stuff. You would think I've heard it's a good year in-state.
Pretty good.
Why have they not closed more deals in-state? Is it Tennessee or the players?
It's a little bit about the players. I think the sort of the way things are handled now with a lot of in-state players. They've seen examples of other players before them who've handled it the same way. Not many guys have jumped in early like Jalen Hurd and Todd Kelly did 5 or 6 years ago. So now you see a lot of guys who just see from other guys who've done it before them, hey, wait a little while, see what all the offers you get, go on a bunch of visits and see what happens. And so you have a lot more guys that kind of the status quo now is wait till at least the summer before your senior year to make a decision, and that's kind of where they are in state.
They had some issues with their first couple of years with the camp situation. And if you didn't come to the camp, you weren't going to get offered. Is that still at play here?
I don't think that's a huge issue with this class. You've got a lot of guys in this in-state class that they've been recruiting pretty hard for a long time. Since they got here, basically, they've been recruiting some of the top players in this particular class. With that class last year, they came in, they weren't that familiar with those guys. And there were a lot of guys they were on the fence about. This class, I don't think you see that. So I think you're going to see a lot of players in this class in state that they're after and have been after for a long time. It's just a matter of whether they can win some battles in some cases, and then some others like Cooper Mays here locally, a 4-star offensive lineman. Tennessee looks like the favorite, just probably a matter of when they can get him to jump in the boat.
Okay, good deal. Thanks, Ryan. You can read all this stuff, another free plug, GoVols247.com. And I'll expect you guys to occasionally write something about the Sports Source. This whole plug thing is always a one-way street. The Vol football family has lost a couple of members this week. We'll discuss the 2 players that passed away just this week, including Knoxville's own Reggie Cobb. Come on back on the Sports Source.